Yeah, let me allow me to ask this question, ladies. Cinda, you probably help me jump in as well, please. When we're talking about accountability, fathers addressing their sons about what's appropriate and how they should carry themselves. You said that can't happen until such a time where the father has dealt with himself
some of his
first.
stuff. Yeah, I didn't finish the statement, but go on with the question.
Because I'm taking it. You're saying that would be you putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
You know, so really the only way to make ground and get some leverage, you know, be in the right place with an issue like that is for the father to understand what his issues are first.
At least start to understand.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because then he can at least, okay, so let's say he starts at 15 and he gets to 20 in his mind, right? He's still older than the son, right, in mentality. Right. So they might be able to grow up together, right? Because like you said, kids are really smart. And so the kid is going to see something in you that you might not have ever seen. So the kid might help you grow up, but you got to be willing and humble enough to even sit down and have a conversation with your kid and then be able to embrace, because here go your nervous system. Ooh, I don't like him. He got the audacity to tell me I'm your daddy. And I'm supposed to know better than you, even though, look, daddy, you was right. But I ain't going to say that loud and proud. But you got to be willing to be like, dang, son, let me think about that growth. Yeah, let me feel. We gonna put this on the this is grown man stuff. This is how a grown man would think. I know I'm feeling uncomfortable. Son, give me a minute. Let me go over here and
let me digest this. Let me
smoke a cigarette. You ain't gonna say that, but whatever you need to do to walk away till you get regulated, because that dysregulated you. So let me go back.
Keep my blood pressure down. Let me
get myself together and not be offended. Chew on it and be like, dang, he did have a point. Okay, but how do I maneuver this in a way that I pour into him and build him up? Like, sir, you was right. Okay, cool. Well, daddy did this, and this, and I kind of got that wrong. I like how you pulled my coattail, right? But that takes humility. Yeah. But if you haven't dealt with the fact that you can't deal with authority, because in that moment, the son is the authority.
Yeah, just based on what was said.
Based on what was said, so the natural inclination of you that can't deal with authority, you want to.
That's the problem,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Now it's a confrontation.
So now it's a confrontation, because how dare you outthink me? And the boy's going, well, what did I say wrong? Yeah. How did I? What did I? Now he begins to stuff himself, right? And he stuffs his words. Like, somebody just told me last week I ate my words, and I was like,
you said stuff. It's another word. Now I want to be silent.
Now
I don't want to say
you silence me.
There's a consequence. I don't want no problem. I got you.
Because my daddy can't handle what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And now I ain't gonna say it. And you made me have to second guess what I was thinking, instead of you affirming me, right? And the daddy knows he was right, but I can't affirm you because you're just a kid.
I can't let you.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Check me.
And you clearly feel checked, because
that's what attitude come in there. So the next let's if you don't mind, Denise, let's jump to the next part of what you said initially. There was that about how we deal with our children in the family, how the father deals with them. We understand that in most cases it shouldn't be something they want to deal with until or such a time they've dealt with their own issues, right? The other part of that, and I think it's all in the same vein, but I get it. The understanding of not just economics, politics, education, society. How do we start to impart these issues? Because I'm telling you, I think we are affected by these things every day.
Absolutely.
All right. And not just the money aspect. So how do we start to speak to the young ones who might be lacking in understanding in terms of finance, economics, politics, society, or education? What do we do? How do we go about addressing that with them?
I think we have to look at ourselves. Take a real good hard look at ourselves, and where do we place value in certain things? In my home, the intellect is valuable. I teach my children the greatest weapon they need is their mind. So in each person's home, they're going to make what's important to them important to them. Some people, they want to get them smoke weed, drink, party, do whatever. So then reading is not important to them. You know, books isn't important to them. Each of us have to make a choice in our own life. What's important to us, what we going to teach our children, what we going to be. You got certain races of people. They say, you going to be the carpenter, you going to be this, and you going to be that. And they bring their children up to do that. So where we begin is we start making, as adults, we start making certain things important to us. And the children going to follow. They're going to watch us. I love to learn. I watch my daddy. I come home from school. My dad was a single parent for most of my early childhood. And I would come home and he had a table just like this. And it'd be books. It'd be Bibles, different versions, and all different books all over. And so every day I came home from school like that. I hope this answers your question in my story form. Every day I came home from school like this, and I saw my dad reading and studying different topics. So then I grew up to be the same kind of person. So what we expose our children to, if we expose our children to selling dope, that's what they're going to grow up and do. If we expose our children to jacking and gang banging and doing all the negative stuff that comes along with being a community, because for me, my whole gang bang experience wasn't bad. I didn't have family. It was just always my sister and myself. We don't have cousins and nothing like that. So that was my family. So all my experiences weren't bad, but we have to take, here I go with the accountability again. When we know we lacking in certain areas, if I don't know, you got people right now don't know how to get a job. Sure. I seen a little girl go apply for a job and she had on some house shoes. Girl, I was like, oh, and a bonnet, yeah. Yeah, so that's where we have to start. We got to start with ourselves as adults.
Yeah, and be the example.
And be the example. They're going to follow.
They're going to follow.
Yeah, they're going to follow.
You pour into them, you show them, right? So this is such a great example for me. So again, I have my grandson and we'll read the Bible, but mostly I'm talking to him about, don't listen to this. That's demonic. You say everything's demonic. I do. Let me show you why it is, right?
Right.
So this was so beautiful for me. At Christmas, he bought me a gift and it was this and that. It wasn't anything that matched. But what his other grandmother, which had taken him shopping, told me was that he said he had to go to Hobby Lobby. She was like, why do you got to go to Hobby Lobby? He was like, because it's Christian.
Huh.
And that was so like, what? That was so beautiful.
He learned that from you.
No,
yeah,
that was what was important. And he paid attention to me
and
what was lit right. So it's about, let me make sure that I'm giving him a good example, but a balanced one. Because the reality is what most religious people, it's a religious spirit and it got to be like this, like in this little box, right?
Right.
But you forgot that there's a world that people have to navigate. And if you live in this little box, you don't teach them how to navigate in that world. Right. So my job is I'm going to give you this because I want you to be able to navigate in the world, because we're supposed to live in the world, but not of the world. And these are the tools to help you live in the world, but not of the world. You have to be set apart. Right. And religion doesn't really, it sets you apart in such a way that you don't even get the full extent of life. And then your nervous system is just as jacked up if you was in a religion or if you was in a gang.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing.
Allow me to ask you, and I want to build on that, in terms of how we impart or how we, educate our family. At what age? Is there an age where it's too late?
No, I don't think. I think not. I think not. Because I have clients that are in their 60s and 70s and still wanting to learn. You just have to have the desire to want to learn. Yeah, it's never too late. As long as that thing is going up and down and you ain't flatlining, you can learn. You can do something different.
I've said, though, you hear many times you do. I think we'll be learning to the day we die.
If you want to.
If you, I'm about to, all right. Okay. Add to that. as long as that's what you
Desire.
are pushing for, you
Mhm.
desire, to learn, and you have that opportunity, that capacity to learn through the day die. Being that, okay, we have the situation we have in the community, especially with the youth and some older heads. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't know
Something
finance,
different. Yeah, they don't know something different.
don't know real education. A lot
Can
of
I
them been
can I give you
miseducated. Go
can
ahead.
I give you
Jump
something
in.
else? And they're afraid of it.
Yeah, because they
That
don't need
fear.
that.
But they could learn it and still be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
you can let's say you get money and you begin to hoard it.
Uh-huh.
So you're still afraid to lose it because I never want to be in a situation. But never mind that you're
Yeah.
out of the situation, but because it haven't got out your mind. So you still have an impoverished mentality, and you good.
Yeah,
You're
I get that.
you're
makes
not
sense.
in the black no. When you in the black, you're not
You're in the
red.
back, not red.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's fear.
Yeah.
That's still
Yeah.
fear based.
Fear of losing it,
The fear of losing, absolutely.
So, but there's that, and again, finance, not want to be educated, though there's a result of miseducation being a part of what we go through. You were speaking when we started this about, again, how do we address the youth? How a father needs to be, accountable, and how to go about speaking with, his son or daughter. There's that. Then there's the aspect, okay, what are we imparting to them? What is it that they're missing? You said there are gaps, but dealing with our own lives initially.
Oh, absolutely.
But then these gaps exist as as you you see, your offspring, there are gaps, and again, finance, education, whatever. How do we go about imparting, helping them to learn what needs to be learned to get them through coming years? There's a lot going on in the world. And I think the next 2-3 years is going to be really, really trying for a lot of people, especially us.
I agree.
Now, we don't have any knowledge or understanding in terms of how to get past what's coming down the pipes at us. There's more suffering to be had, so how do we get to that point where we are, helping the people to understand something, to learn something that's useful?
We got to
jump in. I don't care.
We got to admit that we don't know everything. We got to admit that we need help. We got to admit that we need some training. We need some help. We got to get out of these egos. Because the ego is a big problem. Ego is a large problem.
Okay.
You trying to figure out how is ego a problem?
No, I think no.
No, because ego is a big problem.
But we're not even taught how to suffer well. We didn't ever say, like, the Bible doesn't tell you that you're not going to suffer. Right?
What do you mean we weren't taught to suffer well?
We weren't taught how to suffer well. We suffer, right? Because life happens.
How do you suffer well?
Right.
So for me, how I suffer well, when it goes bad, and I understand that I'm under spiritual warfare, right? I got to go to the Lord. Lord, I need a little bit of help here because you said you will be my strength where I'm weak. I'm weak right now.
Right.
I need to understand. Last week I was under, when I tell you I was under spiritual warfare, whoo, and I cried and cried and cried. And then I said, okay, God, once I got back to myself, and I'm still in tears, and I was like, okay, devil, I see you. You want war? We going to war. I got to pray in the scriptures. I got to tell it, okay, Lord, I need to understand first off, why is this hurting me so much? Right? And then what is my solution to it? So then that means that I got to be quiet and listen to that still small voice, because the situation was the situation, right? I couldn't control the situation. I couldn't change the situation. It was the situation. So, okay, God, how do I get through the situation? How do I get my nervous system back to homeostasis, which means even keel? How do I get I got to get back there. So he gave me the solution. Once I did the solution, literally the situation was the situation. But once he gave me the out of how to deal with it, then it calmed me down. And I was like, oh, I'm at peace now. I don't know what's going to happen on the other side, but I'm at peace. This is how I got to go before the Lord. I could be a crybaby about it. I could do all the things, but if I believe it or I don't.
Well, that's good for you because you know the Lord. What about people out there who don't have no relationship with God?
Okay, I can only stay in my lane and go the way that I can go. And if you want to learn him, let's talk about it, right? I can't because in my opinion, and at one point, no, I wasn't as strong as I am now, right? And that's how I kept getting defeated by the enemy because no one taught me how to stand up and how to pray properly, right? We pray repetitious. Pray, Lord, please just get me out of it. He might have been the one to put you in it because he needs to get you stronger. But we never give him that credit, right? We can go to the book of Job for the example. And nobody remembers how did Job get into it, right? Do you know?
How Job
Got into the situation. Do you know the story of Job?
Yeah, God said, have you considered my
Have you?
servant?
So that meant that God put him up to that, right?
Right.
And in the middle of him, in the middle of all that Job went through, for those that don't know, he was the richest man in the land that he was in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was the most upright. He got his riches taken away, his house burnt down,
All
his kids got killed, all the things. And he went to his friends and they were like, if you can minister to others, why can't you minister to yourself? One of the best things in that one in Job, and I can't tell you exactly where it was, but his wife said, why don't you just curse God and die? Mm-hmm. But his answer was amazing. His answer was, if I could take the good, I could take the bad. Right? So I would like to believe that God put Job up to that because he knew what kind of man he was.
Absolutely.
He knew he would never curse God in spite of.
So why would he put him up to that?
Because we all get tried.
Why, if he already knew what kind of man? Why?
Well,
was that for Job's sake, or was that for
our flesh? We might think we're somewhere, and God knows what our capacity is. But remember, we still have free will. So he could have collapsed at any time and took his wife's advice. You're right, I'm a curse God. But he said, I'm a curse the day I was born. But he never cursed God.
Okay, no, I know the story.
Right? So why God does what he does, I don't know. I
think that's more rhetorical than anything. Right? Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
right. But at the end of it, because he stood, and then don't think he didn't get chastised. Because if you remember, he read when he got to the end, God chastised him, and he said, "Who are you to question me? Did you put?" And I'm paraphrasing. Did you put a blade of grass in the grass? Did you put the sun in the sky? And then after he got chastised, Job had to humble himself. Was like, basically, my bad, you right.
Mm-hmm.
And once he humbled himself to God, then God restored him and gave him twice as much as he had.
What he had, yeah.
Right? So, because we haven't learned how to suffer well and go, okay, God, I trust you through the process. Because we all got to go through process. We have to be processed. When you join a gang, you have to be processed to see what your fortitude is. Because if you get beat down and got all the lumps in your head and you be a crybaby, and let's say, it went too far, I'm going to go tell the police, you can't be part of the gang and now you got to die. But, I might have went too far. But you understand what I'm saying, right?
Let me jump in there. When you say suffer well, it immediately, when you first said it, it made me reflect back to when in our family, when it was super bad. But I recall what moms would do. We would gather there, and then we just, start talking about family, and for whatever reason,
it released that.
Whatever, but
yep,
we was good.
You was good with each other, right? Good. You didn't even know.
You did,
yeah.
So, and for me, I think that's an example for our family suffering well.
Yeah, absolutely, because you didn't even know. That goes to show that I didn't even know I was poor.
Hey,
because my mama did. I
forgot I was hungry.
I did because
laughing, joking with my mama.
We ate the word.
Yeah.
Right.
We got full on each other. We got
full on
company and love
joy
each other. Yeah.
And all of the things. Well. Right. So she taught you how to suffer well. Yeah. That didn't mean that she didn't go in her room and cry.
That's right.
But she had to make sure her kids was good.
I understand.
Right. Yeah. If we got a little bit of rice, I'm gonna divvy up that rice and I'm gonna go to bed hungry. And figure out, and then God gonna make a way out of no way. And then before you knew it, you was somewhere else, living somewhere else, and she had a better job and she could provide in a different way. But if she didn't know how to suffer well, she would have been like, "We got to go hit this lick." And your daddy was a dog because he left me with these kids.
Like I'm finna take you over there and I'll see you.
And I'll leave exactly because I don't have the capacity to deal with. Right. So yes, that there is a thing to suffering well.
Okay, I agree.